Is 2 in a row for the Phoenix Suns. They beat the Lakers on Thursday night, and here they are on Sunday night. They defeated the Portland Trailblazers, an undermanned Portland Trailblazer team, a vastly undermanned Portland Trailblazer team. This team, 8 players out. But the Suns, of course, had to make it interesting, had to keep us on the edge of our seats, and had to keep us engaged, especially in the beginning of the fourth quarter. They ultimately do win the game by a final score of 127-116. But Matthew, I know I shouldn't bitch about wins, but it would have been nice if, a team that had literally just lost by 62 points, if the Suns could have like rested some starters or something, man. Maybe I'm getting greedy in my old age.
Yeah, I think it's different right now because of the way the Suns are going about things, trying to get the big three and everybody else kind of, used to each other out there. I think we're going to have these games against bad teams. I think in 20 games that we're playing, I hope we're done with the Blazers. I think we're done with the Blazers. But a team that's in the bottom of the standings, second from last, in 20 games, if we can't blow them out and get some rest from the starters, and that's an issue. Right now, I just really think that they still have a lot to work on, and you definitely could see it in the fourth quarter still. So I don't know. I mean, I'm happy they got the win, and there's still a lot to work out. After the Lakers, when you're like, oh, they got it going, but then now they play the Blazers, almost lose it in the end, not lose the game, but lose the lead. But they pulled together, so I guess I can be happy about that.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right in the fact that we're still learning to play together. We're still stacking wins in the process, which is what you want to do. I mean, the team is now 21-18, obviously on the positive side of 500, and you'd like to see them start to just rattle off a nice winning streak. But you know that the competition that lies before the Phoenix Suns is tough. I mean, they have, what do they say, 8 of their next 10 games are on the road. They come home on Tuesday, play the Kings, who just lost on a Dame time three-pointer in Milwaukee. That's a damn good team in the Kings. So you have to take the dubs where you can, and you hope that you can see some progress in the way that the team plays. And that's what we'll talk about, is kind of what we saw in this game against the Blazers. Again, a win, a nice victory, a team you're supposed to be. It's not like last time, right? Last time we played the Blazers, we lost to a team that we should not have lost to, dude.
Yeah. And that's what we're worried about. So I think we saw a lot of good in this game. And then it is Sunday night, and I think these Sunday night games, they fucking suck. They always have some kind of weird feeling, So I'm just glad it's over with and they got the win. I'm so glad today's over. Today's over with.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about today for you.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. I watched I was so, obviously we're talking about the, Matthew is a Cowboys fan, and we talked that Cowboys game was something else. So we'll talk about that real quick. Just a reminder, everyone who's watching, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit notifications on, do whatever you want. We appreciate it if you do, obviously. Fun fact, Suns are now 6-2 on Sunday games. So what day of the week do you think they perform the worst at?
Probably Wednesday.
Wednesday, they're 4-3.
Okay.
Looks like Mondays and Thursdays, they're 1-2 on both those days.
Oh,
so
that's
Sundays,
good to know.
Sunday, actually a good day for the Phoenix Suns. Actually a good day.
Would have known.
Even though it doesn't feel like it, actually a good day for Phoenix. So plenty to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. If you haven't already, head over to phoenixfits.net, input the promo code SunsJam10, get 10% off of your order. It's worth it. Some of the gear that they put out there is absolutely fantastic. And Brightside Night is on Tuesday. It's too late to donate, but we are excited to join everybody who donated and is going to the game. We'll be going there. Obviously, we will be conducting a pre-game Q&A session with a surprise guest. Can't tell anybody. We'll talk about all that after the next post-game podcast. But to everybody who donated to Brightside, we end up, I think the final number is 2,994 kids are going to Suns games this year because of your donations.
That's
we
awesome.
Only had 6 more. Would have been great. But thank you to all of our listeners and the readers at brightsideofthesun.com for donating your money and sending some kids to some games. So it's Sunday night. I don't got to work tomorrow. Let's pop open a beer, huh, Matthew?
Do it.
Ooh, the mountains are blue, which means that it's as cold as the sun's at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Phoenix Suns win 127-116, going to Portland. Like you said, Matthew, last game of the season against the Portland Trailblazers. Which brings in my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask straight up. After this win, knowing that the Portland Trailblazers had 8 people out, including Jeremy Grant, including DeAndre Ayton, are you satisfied with this victory? Or is this just, yep, I'm glad we won it, on to the next one kind of thing?
I'm satisfied with the last one against the Lakers. This
Yes.
one, I think you can expect it because it is the Blazers and they are losing people. And I mean, they don't have their full squad, which we've been through this when the past few years when we do play the bad teams, we have bad games. But right now, it's a different situation. Like I said earlier, I really think that they got to work out the kinks in the fourth quarter. Like, no matter how they performed this game, I think we were all just like, well, let's get to the fourth. We got to see what happens there. And it was pretty bad there for a little bit, but maybe because we were playing the Trailblazers and maybe because they were missing some shots they were normally making throughout the whole game, it gave the Suns a chance to come back or to keep that lead and to take it away from the Blazers in Portland, which was a nice victory. I'm not feeling anything from it, though, right? I mean, what are you feeling from this one? Because I don't feel anything. I'm just like, it's a victory. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And, shout out to Aussie Suns Fan Podcast, hanging out in the chat, says the same thing.
I didn't even read that.
Take the win, move on.
Wow.
But still, like, I think I do carry a little frustration here. And I guess I'll start with this before we talk about all the positives that happened in this game, because there were plenty of positives. But the frustrating thing, again, is those fourth quarters. Phoenix Suns in this fourth quarter scored a total of 21 points. Like, and this isn't them emptying the bench with 6 minutes left and it just becomes like clown ball out there. No, this is their starters playing the entire fourth because they have to. In the fourth quarter, the Suns end up going, they shoot 66.7% from the field. They're 8 of 12. But they turn the ball over 7 times. The Blazers had 6 more shot attempts in the fourth because the Suns just kept handing the ball to them. 9 points off of turnovers is what the Blazers scored in that fourth quarter. And that's where the frustrating thing is. For the most part, this was a good win. The first quarter is just like the last time we played the Blazers, where we gave up a bunch of points. We gave up 33 points in the first quarter of this game. The Suns scored 31. And it's understandable. Young team, a lot of injuries, a lot of grit, a lot of hustle out there. But as the game progresses that they're going to tire out. And you have pretty much your entire squad. The only 2 guys who aren't available to play tonight, Damian Lee, Bol. So you can literally get to a point where you can empty the fucking bench on these guys. And I think that this is an opportunity for Frank Vogel, from a coaching standpoint, to begin making those adjustments in the fourth. And I noted it a few games ago, how they're now starting the fourth with at least 2 of the big 3 out there. But the challenge is the people that they're fucking putting them they're out there with. KBD and Josh Okogie are out there in the fourth quarter to start with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. Those are 2 non-shooting wings, and KD's playing the 5. It just doesn't make any sense, because what starts to happen? Well, if they have to get bailed out of a possession, KBD and Josh Okogie aren't hitting shots. They lack confidence in any way, shape, or form. So what happens? They turn the ball over. And it's this reoccurring Twilight Zone kind of moment where I feel like I'm in a bad dream, because that no matter how good the team is playing, they're going to start the fourth quarter, and even though they're up 106-92, side note, giving up 92 points through 3 quarters to this team is bullshit, but up 106-92, you're like, yeah, I just don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I feel like I'm walking through South Phoenix and I don't have a bulletproof vest on anytime the fourth quarter starts.
Or it's your golf clubs in the back of your truck and they get stolen.
Fact.
So I think it's a mental thing for the Suns. Like even before like the last or before like entering the fourth quarter, when 1 second ticks off, you can just tell there's something there. It's something the Suns have to get over mentally. It's just like that little hump they got to get over, and they will, I think, eventually. Because everyone talks about it. It's like the one thing that all Suns fans talk about, and they struggle with this whole year. The guys they put out there though, like even like Eric Gordon, who struggles sometimes coming off the bench, like there's certain lineups that they're going to try, and there's certain guys that are going to throw out there. Like Kogi didn't play the whole first half, then he comes in the second half, so he's obviously trying new things. And I just think that these guys he's going to throw out there might not look good, but we don't really have a choice right now with who else we put out there because we got to get these guys a break. I mean, Kevin Durant had 38 minutes tonight. Booker had 38 minutes tonight too. So when that's happening against a Blazers team, you're just like, well, this is kind of frustrating because you want to give them some rest. Well, these guys that are out there in the fourth quarter, they got to build some kind of confidence in these situations. So I get it. It's against the Blazers. So if you're going to do this, you got to do it right now against this kind of team. And the frustrating part is you see these players out there that the Suns are throwing out there and they're not confident. Even Grayson Allen tonight, dude, there was some big turnovers that he threw. And I was just like, this is not Grayson-like. Don't let me down, man. Don't be just a 3-point shooter because I know you're more than that.
You're right that in the fact that this is the type of team that you should test these lineups out against in hopes that something catches, some confidence is built. But that's the troubling thing is none of that's happening. Every single game, the fourth quarter comes, and no matter what the lineup is, no matter what lever Frank Vogel's attempting to pull, it's just not catching. It's like it's like you're trying to unscrew something and it's like stripped, right? Like it just bzzz, you're just like, oh man, I gotta go on TikTok now and figure out how to do some old wives' tale trick to unscrew this screw that's been stripped. And I don't know how to fix it. It's like the Suns are overthinking it to this point where they just lose who and what they are. And they're calling it out on the broadcast. Tom Leander and Eddie Johnson are saying, yeah, this team, it's like the Suns when the fourth quarter starts, if they have a lead, they're a team that just wants to take a knee and milk the clock, right? They're a team that goes into a prevent defense, and that's all they're trying to do in the fourth is survive the fourth, knowing that they're already up, in this case, 14 going into the fourth. Like, okay, we just got to survive. No, you got to impose your will. You got to continue to do what got you that 14-point lead. And you have Kevin Durant out there, and you have Bradley Beal out there. So make something fucking happen. I don't understand it. And you're right. Against teams like Portland, it's an opportunity to try out a Josh Okogie KBD lineup out there, hoping that they can like shut them down defensively. But that didn't work. Like nothing's working in the fourth. And I know that we're spending way too much time bitching and moaning about this in a victory for the Suns, but it is problematic. And it's something that I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I've proposed things in the past, and some of those things have come to fruition with having two of the stars out there versus one of the stars out there just to start the fourth. But it's getting to this point where it's just becoming, I've said it before, like a bad movie, and we're watching it over and over and over again. It's like that Midnight Cowboy movie.
This is the time where it's like you hear about the backup point guard thing. When KD's out there, like I feel like he played good with the backup point guard. Like even in the second quarters when we start the second quarter, like we have issues there. Like such a good first quarter. The Suns are doing really good in the first. I mean, Beal had a great first. But it's the start of like this next quarters they have an issue with. And I think that's when the backup point guard and whoever they can get there, I know they're looking at wings or whatever, but
yeah,
that's the situation where it's like, we need the ball to keep moving. We need to keep pounding these teams because that's how we're going to get these blowout victories. We're just missing that one piece. KD does a great job at times, but just moving the ball with him, just like starting to be your facilitator, it's hard to do. I feel like it's just because it's always the top of the key with him with the ball above his head, and it's just like, it's not gonna work. It just doesn't work right now. They'll figure something out, but I'm glad they got the victory tonight. I know it's kind of negative, but it's just because we know we're not good enough. That Lakers game, it was awesome, right? But we just know we're not good enough yet. If the one thing that we do focus on as Suns fans is like, is this team able to win a championship with who they have on the court? We just know this is not good enough. It's far away from there, but being that the playoffs are far away, but they're close. They just need that one more piece. So we're kind of nitpicking in that way.
And yeah, I mean, it's a team that scored 127 points, a team that has won 2 consecutive games against subpar competition. I will add again, and that's the nitpicking part, right? Everybody in the fan base is just slow clapping and applauding and standing up like they're at the Golden Globes or something because the Suns beat the Lakers. Well, they should beat the Lakers. The Lakers are not a good team. I know it's the first time we beat them this season, but the Lakers are a team that is mired in mediocrity right now, and we should beat them, and you should beat the Blazers. Like, we need to start beating good teams, because if you look at the record, and I don't have it in front of me, but the Suns' record against good teams is not good. The teams over 500 is not good, and that's the challenge. So you hope that this game they can build some momentum, because they did close the fourth quarter strong, right? I mean, if you think about it, the Blazers started on a 10-3 run, and the Phoenix Suns outscored them 17-14 the rest of the quarter. So, or 18-14 the rest of the quarter. So, I mean, by math standpoint, they started to put them away. I think they had a 12-1 run in the final minutes of the fourth quarter to put Portland away. Just frustrating, again, from a fan standpoint and a reactionary podcast standpoint. That's the other thing you have to understand. If you're listening to this tomorrow, if you're driving around and, part of your job is going door to door, you're a door-to-door salesman, and you're selling doors as a door-to-door salesman to people, and you're knocking at the air because they don't have a door, and you listen to the podcast while you're walking around and whatnot, know again that this is a reactionary podcast. Like, it's tough going on right afterwards, because the last thing to happen in this game was the fourth quarter. But if you go back to the previous quarters, right, let's do that. Let's talk about some of the guys, how they played, and I'll start off with Devin Booker.
Big Dick Booker.
Devin Booker in this game ends with a total of 34 points, tops on the team. He also had 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 0 turnovers for Devin Booker. And I think that obviously that's highly important, because he is turning the ball over a ton. Had a total of 9 points in the first quarter. So again, what we talked about in the last game, obviously against the Los Angeles Lakers, he comes out 16 points in the first quarter. We get first quarter book. It was only the 4th time this season, Matthew, that he had scored in double digits in the first quarter, which is kind of insane, considering how he did that just on the regular for multiple seasons. But seeing how he started off engaging, was 4 of 4 from 2-point range, 0 of 4 from beyond the arc in the first quarter, ended by hitting only 1 of 6 3-pointers. What'd you see from Devin Booker tonight?
It was a slower start. I think the way he ended the first quarter was what the Suns needed. I mean, the way they were struggling in the first against the Blazers, they were going to be down by probably about 7 points there. But Booker hit 5 straight points to close the gap to 2 points. And it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Right now, the Suns will take whatever they can get. But figuring out the distribution between Booker and Beal is really big to me. And it should be to a lot of fans out there. And I know Beal got his 9 points quick. Then Book got his 11. So Book, just the aggressiveness needs to continue in the first quarter. This was a 34-point game, which was kind of sneaky, but also we had those stretches from Book where it's just like, damn, like Book is back, right? The headband thing, he's not wearing the headband, so maybe it was that, but
yes.
he had those stretches like old Book where he would just get to his spot, use that push off, and that push off, dude, I'm telling you, like, these refs need to make up their fucking mind, because every player does that, and when some guy on defense is flopping by and he's like off balance and he falls back, it's not a foul, all right? All these guys push off. KD does it. Beal does it. Book does
Paul
it.
George
Every
push off,
player has
push off
it.
Paul.
Yeah. So what is it like? You can't extend it so far. Like, you got to have like a measuring tape out there. I don't understand that, but it kills the momentum of the game, because Booker does it all the times. But he was doing that a lot tonight. He got to his spots and made sure that he made those difficult shots. And it was nice to see, even when he had to be physical and get to the line, he did that. Like, when the Suns were kind of struggling shooting from 3, he was getting to the line. Him and KD were doing that. So I thought it was an awesome Book game, kind of under the radar. But in a game like this, where you want to close out the Blazers and just get that blowout victory, he did his part. And
100%.
he could have probably done more. And that's the weird thing. It's like, I kind of wanted to see more. But when you got KD and Beal, they have to get theirs too. So Booker probably could have had 40 tonight easily.
Easily. And you're 100% right on the push-off thing. What creates that push-off, if you will, is when you blow by a defender and he's backpedaling, and then you kind of bump him while he's backpedaling and the guy flies. Like that's how that happens. You're penalizing somebody for being quicker than the opponent. When I talk about push off Paul George, he doesn't necessarily do that. His isn't from flying by. His is driving into a defender, like Luka does it too. He drives into the defender. If I'm standing there guarding you straight up and I just run into you and then I push off you and I shoot, like that's what they do. But like Booker, Scoot Henderson, he's quick. He's a quick guy, and he's kind of doing some of that stuff too, where he's taking advantage of the fact that the opposition is off balance. And Booker was doing that tonight. But what we saw from Booker tonight, for those of you who didn't watch the game, and if you're going on a long road trip and you're listening to this and you got the wife and the kids in the back, no one's sitting next to you, the dog's sitting next to you, and you're playing this podcast, and they're like, why are you listening to this podcast? You're like, shut up, I listen to this. You guys just hang out on your iPads. But if you didn't watch the game, what we saw from Devin Booker tonight was elite jump shooting. Not from beyond the arc, like I said, 1 of 6, and that's something I want to talk about here momentarily. But if you take away the 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, he's 13 of 16 from 2-point range in this game. 13 of 16, and these were some difficult shots. I mean, he's making 17, 18 footers falling away. Some Booker things that we haven't seen in quite some time. It is some consistency from the 2-point range, and he had that here tonight. And I thought that was fantastic. The way that, again, against an undermanned team in the Portland Trailblazers, I loved how he was navigating his space, getting to his spot, and not being afraid to take those shots. Now, 1 from 6 from beyond the arc is somewhat troubling. He's getting the shots, and it's kind of like the Okogie syndrome, right? Like with Josh Okogie, he's going to be open. He's got to knock down his shots. Well, a lot of the Devin Booker shots were wide open because of the gravity of Kevin Durant and of Bradley Beal. And unfortunately, Booker just wasn't knocking him down. And if you look at him overall in the season, he is shooting 37.7%. Obviously, this is going to dip his overall 3-point percentage. But from a career standpoint, it's like his 3rd best year shooting from beyond the arc. So those shots are going to continue to be there. If anybody's frustrated, and I saw some people on Twitter being frustrated with Devin, but what's wrong with Book? He's not hitting his threes. He's still shooting really well this season from beyond the arc. Just an off game in Portland.
Yeah, it is just a one-off game, because I thought I didn't even know he was 1 for 6. So you brought that up because it wasn't that noticeable because of how great he was the rest of the game and everything else he did. So
yeah, I think that again, if you didn't watch the game and you're just looking at the box score and you listen to the podcast while you're on a rocket and you're headed to Mars, that's what happens. It does. Oh, it does exist. It exists, and you better be ready for it. Okay. Another guy who played really well.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley. Bo, bo.
A little remix, huh?
Little remix. I don't want to get copyright infringed anymore.
Was the last one? Was it copyright infringed?
The last 2 that we played, I think it just recognized that it was Sublime too much, and it was just like, nope. Copyright infringement. I was like, well,
that one doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. That's why I did it. Bradley Beal, 37 minutes played, 23 points, had 5 assists, couple steals, 9 of 13. Again, Booker was 14 of 22 for his 34 points. Clearly the front runner on the team when it comes to total shot attempts taken. Bradley Beal was 3rd behind Kevin Durant, who we'll talk about momentarily. But I liked what I saw from him, especially from beyond the arc. I mean, he set the tone, 3-point shooting. 3 of 3 right out of the gate. Again, wide open on his threes, and he was knocking them down. And one thing that I noticed, and I like what Suns Fever says, he says, Beal's acceleration is dangerous. His ability to stop on a dime is unbelievable. That's one of the most fun things that I've enjoyed about watching him play, is not only to see his acceleration, but see his deceleration and watch him just, there goes the defender. He's got wide open jumpers.
Yeah. Tonight, dude, the refs tonight, I feel like kind of held Bradley Beal back just a little bit. Even defensively, I felt like, some plays, Scoot was getting some calls over Beal. And it's funny because last game, Scoot wasn't getting any calls. I'm like, that guy doesn't get calls yet, but he was getting calls over Beal. But Beal, I think defensively was really good tonight. there was a few calls where, this thing drives me nuts too. When you swat the ball and the guy kicks his leg out, the offensive guy, and you
Yeah.
swat it and goes off his leg, it's still their ball. It went off. He kicked it to the second
Yeah.
row, basically.
yeah.
Like, that swat's not going to do that shit. So that was frustrating. So Beal made a couple good plays like that. One was a foul, but he keeps it up, man. That momentum, he tries to carry over from the defensive side to the offensive side, and he's getting there. He could have had another bigger game tonight, but I think the rest just really held him back. And I think tonight he did say, I think we took a step back, and I think we all know that. So he's obviously frustrated with the way the Suns played. We are frustrated. So we're all frustrated a little bit, right? So we all know we got the victory, but he's even saying like they're a little frustrated because he knows they took a step back. So we can all see that. But I really think that what Beal did tonight offensively, getting to his spots, and even that one, he ran, they called a charge in that one where he got into the lane and the guy said right in front of him that was a charge. Like, constantly these refs were all over him. So I just think that the refs held him back a little bit, but he is so good right now, man. We're really getting to his spots and getting wide open. So him and Book figured that out. Now they're basically unstoppable. It's just a defensive end and getting stops on the other side.
Yeah, and it's one, you're completely right about the way that it's from an officiating standpoint, how he was kind of getting screwed and all of a sudden, what's his nugget? Scoot Henderson's getting these amazing calls. Don't really understand that. And, Maya B says in the chat, she goes, y'all must have not really watched Beal in Washington. No, I didn't. I'm a Suns fan.
I never watched that team.
I
don't really
would
watch a lot
them.
of other basketball.
I do here and there, but
Try.
but when I watch basketball, it's generally the late game, which is never Washington, never on national talent was. I watch Beal twice a year when he played against the Suns, and I would be impressed with his ability. 100%. I'd be impressed with his ability, but to see it game in and game out is impressive. But you did mention, his post-game comments, and I think we have that interview. Ashley, you want to play that?
Bradley, did you guys feel that you built on what you did in L.A.? Because that was a fantastic night at Crypto.com on Thursday. Little slow start tonight, but all in all, happy with you guys, the way you played tonight?
No, I think we took a step back, and I think we all know that. We didn't come out with energy. We weren't focused. We didn't do any of our defensive assignments out the gate. We allowed them to get really comfortable, and they stayed comfortable throughout the game. And, hell, in the third and fourth quarter, they were just raining threes and had us all over the place. And offensively, we were just discombobulated. We didn't have energy in the ball. We got to be a lot better than that if we want to be, the team that we say we want to be. So, yeah, it's great to get a win, but we didn't win like how the Phoenix Suns should win.
Beautiful.
That's what I love about Beal.
I love that.
I love that. Accountability, self-awareness, not just like we felt like we had a good game against the Lakers and this was a win, so on to the next one. He's like, no, we didn't play well. And I love the fact that that's who he is and that's what he brings to this locker room. And again, he's not the primary leader. With Kevin Durant, with Devin Booker, those are your leaders. But if he's your tertiary guy, he's a guy who has been a leader in the past. And you can see that. And accountability for himself, accountability for his teammates. That's how you change a locker room. That's how you adjust in the fourth quarter outside of the coaching levers that are being pulled and what's being asked of you and your teammates. That's how you do it. It starts with, I like what Eddie Yee says in the chat, accountability. And I absolutely love that, those comments from him.
You need that. We talked about the leadership on this team last pod, and the other guys are quiet. They're not going to say things like this. Book and KD will not say this shit. So someone has to do it. And it starts with the media. I feel like you got to get it out there. And I know it's just a game against Portland, man, but we all saw it. We started the pod a little negative. And you know what? Because we know that they let us down a little bit. They let each other down. That's the biggest thing.
That's what it is. And Kevin Durant will not shy away from comments, but generally his comments, when he really provides those self-accountability comments, are said in defense of national media pundits and things like that. He had a great interview with Fox Sports a few days ago where he talked about how all the comments that Woj had said about him being frustrated and things that we talked about on the podcast right here, where we're like, yeah, he should be frustrated. I don't think he's frustrated to the point where he wants to demand a trade that everybody's saying, but he's frustrated with the performance of the team as well. He should. And he talked about that and how everyone else will point out when he doesn't play well, but doesn't praise him for when he plays good, well. And I thought he played well tonight.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
21 points from Kevin Durant tonight, 8 of 16 from the field, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc, had 6 assists, had 5 rebounds. A quality game for him as essentially the tertiary option scoring-wise. And I talked about that after the Lakers game, and it's interesting. And I know that you felt this a little bit because every now and then, like Maya in the chat, like she's always really frustrated when we say anything anti-KD, and it's not necessarily anti-KD. It's just observations of a fan base. And I noticed this after I said it against the Lakers, where I'm like, hey, KD is a third option's fantastic. You got Devin Booker in his prime. You got Beal who's stopping on a dime and pumping threes in. This is a great place for KD, especially in the middle of the season, to thrive and to get some rest in and still be the amazing basketball player that he is, because he is. And man, the KD cult came after me for those comments. And the comments are, oh, you guys just you love Book so much it's sickening. It's like, no, you love KD so much it's sickening. Like, we love him too. Are you kidding me? Kevin Durant's on our fucking team. It's great, but I don't need or want him to go out there and have to try to score 40 points every night for this team to win. I would love for him to be a complimentary player with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker around him, who are younger and more durable at this point in their careers, to go ahead and just pump in some points. And then KD can be the guy who comes in and is the run stopper. Oh, they just went on a 4-0 run, an 8-0 run, a 12-0 run. Give the ball to KD because you know that guy can score anytime, anywhere. That's regular season. That's what I want from KD. When we hit the postseason, absolutely. If you want to crank up those KD engaging minutes, let's go for it. But there are some aspects of his game that have holes in it, just like there's aspects of Bradley Beal and Devin Booker's games that have hole in it. Just interesting how, you do have the KD stands who obviously follow him from place to place to place. And that hasn't happened to Devin Booker, right? Like, if you're a Devin Booker fan, you're a Phoenix Suns fan because he's never gone anywhere. So when we compliment Devin Booker, KD fans take it as a slight to KD. And if we say that Devin Booker is shooting poor from, beyond the arc today, yeah, it sucked. He was 1 for 6, but that's not the norm thus far this season for him. Oh, you're sucking off, but Devin Booker in this case. And then if you try to hold KD accountable in any way, shape, or form, the fact that he turned the ball over 3 times, like, oh, there you are pointing out his flaws. It's just like, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying?
You can never win.
You can't.
All this is pointless anyways. So the fact that anyone gets frustrated is really weird. I think that so KD, like I said earlier, he just needs that other guy to really help him out. If he's in there by himself without the other 2 guys in the big 3, then I think he struggles a little bit. He kind of does if he has to kind of facilitate, and that's fine. I mean, he doesn't have to be that guy. It's just like the experiments with him working with the other team. It just doesn't look good at times, right? It doesn't flow, and that's what you need to continue to happen in order to have some success and to put teams away like this early. The thing is, though, with KD, dude, like, I love him, like you said, as a third option. I think it works very well. And when he's wide open in the corner from 3, it's like,
hell
what the
yeah.
fuck? Like, he hit a huge 3 tonight. A huge 3 tonight that put the Blazers away. That's what he's going to do. They're going to hit big shots. And he's done that all year long, man. He's hit big 3s all year long. It doesn't mean he has to start the offense, play point guard, anything like that. Because we all expect, like, he should probably be able to do that. But he just needs that other guy where he can run pick and rolls. He can do that shit. And he was doing that with Beal last game. Like, there's things that they can do where he can play the point a little bit. It's fine. But when it's just on him without those other 2 guys, it just doesn't look too good. And we love KD. He's great.
Hell
fucking
yeah.
awesome, man. Look at
how much KD gear I have. I love that he's on my team.
I know you pay.
Maya be in the chat. Y'all don't watch other teams, so y'all have no clue who's coming to the team when a trade is made, because they cause y'all to make wrong statements about players. One, I do watch other teams. I watch the other team that the Phoenix Suns are playing every night. I don't watch every team in the NBA every night because I'm a Suns fan. If you want national media takes, go watch the fucking national media. I'm going to absorb players, how I see them when they play against the Phoenix Suns. Have nothing but respect for KD his entire career. I've said it for years and years and years that he's been my favorite player in the NBA who's not a member of the Phoenix Suns, and I've watched him throughout his entire career, so I do watch certain players. So back up, man. Don't be so fucking angry, Maya. You're always so mad in the chat. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, a little.
Have some
a little
melatonin.
upset. Usually it's more towards me, and I take it. And the thing is too, like doing the pod, like I don't even watch football anymore, really, ever. Just because.
Well, good. You missed a horrible game today. I'm glad you didn't watch that one.
I don't watch anything but the Suns. So
I do want to talk about Grayson Allen.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Oh, Grayson Allen, our fuck shit up guy.
Grayson Allen was the fourth member of the Phoenix Suns to score 20 or more points tonight. Ended up going 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. He had a couple blocks, had 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Like I said, 20 points from Grayson Allen. Continues to string together some pretty stellar games for the Phoenix Suns. And I put an article out there, brightsideofthesun.com. If you like to read, that's where I put my stuff out. And I posed the question. Seeing as the Phoenix Suns don't have a lot of outs when it comes to roster construction, seeing that a lot of people think that we need extra help at the point guard position, and that even the Phoenix Suns themselves have reportedly stated that they are seeking an athletic wing for their team. Is Grayson Allen the best possible trade candidate for this team?
yeah.
It kind of sucks, though, right?
It sucks, yeah. And it's one of those things like, who are you gonna get back, right? Obviously we love Grayson, but if there's a player we can get back that would make us better, because if you're looking at this right now with the starting lineup tonight, 34 points from Book, 20 from Allen, 23 from Beal, 14 from Nurk with 13 rebounds, and then 21 points from KD. And you struggle to beat the Blazers, there's something there. So they're missing that one thing. And that does suck because I've thought about that too. I just don't want to bring it up because we love Allen so much and what he's brought to this team. Obviously tonight you can see, and even the last game, he's had some bad turnovers when he's handling the ball a little bit too much, but everything else is great. I mean, he's had his great games handling the ball, and I think they trust him in that way. But I don't know, man, because he's such a winning player on this team, dude. So I don't know. What do you think? What's going to happen? You know something?
No, but here's the challenge. Okay, here's the way I see it. And I'm with you. Like, I never thought I'd sit here and beat the drum for Grayson Allen, right? You know, obviously when the Suns traded for him in late September as a part of the DeAndre Ayton trade and ultimately the Damian Lillard trade, because he came over from Milwaukee, a lot of people were very anti Grayson Allen. He's a dirty player. He's crossing lines throughout his collegiate and professional career. People are on Twitter. It's a huge L getting him. Why would you do this? Why would you do that to your culture? Yada, yada, yada. You take a look at where we're at now. 34 games played, all of them starts. Second most on the team, only behind Yusuf Nurkic. Averaging 13.2 points, 4.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 49.5% field goal percentage, 46.2 3-point percentage. Every one of those statistics are career highs. Every single one. If you are going to sell Allen, now's the time. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. With those kind of numbers, any team in the NBA would line up and make an offer for him. He's an $8.5 million a year contract, which is one of your very, very few contracts that are actually tradable. Outside of the big three, you got Nurkic, who makes $16 million. You got Grayson Allen at 8.5. You got Nasir Little for 6.4. Everybody else is a veteran minimum contract on this team. So if you do, I guess this question truly comes down to the inner turmoil that you have to face as a Suns fan. Do you truly, those of you who like to take to the social medias or the chat or what have you, if you truly believe that the challenge with this team is that they do not have a primary playmaker, whether it's on the first team unit or the second team unit. If you truly feel like that is what will fix this team, then Grayson Allen has to go, because he's the only guy that you can actually move that is desirable by other teams in order to do so, to bring in a quality player who's not a veteran minimum player. You can sit there and stack contracts, right? You're like, all right, Nasir Little and Bobo and Katie Bates-Diop for TJ McConnell. You could do that all you want, but none of that is desirable. Grayson Allen is desirable right now. So if you want to, now is the time to sell high. And that's where I'm stuck in between, right? And yes, Lazy Sasquatch is right. The Suns have his birds rights. So they can offer him more money than anybody next year in a re-sign, from a free agent standpoint. But the question is, as an unrestricted free agent, is that what he wants? Is he going to hit the summer based on whatever happens this season? Let's say the Suns do hold on to him and something doesn't go right, and he sees an opportunity to go to a city that's closer to where he's from, yada, yada, yada. There's 20 different variables that can equate to a reason as to why a player will sign with a specific team, money not always being all of it, but he's going to garner a lot on the open market. So that's the question. And that's where I'm stuck, because I do think that there's things that you can fix around the edges of this team. And this is one of the few outs that you have as a franchise, knowing that Beal, Booker, and Durant make 130-something million this year, and that goes to 150 million next year because Booker's supermax kicks in. There's not a lot of outs for this team. So what do you think?
Well, I do think we have an owner now that doesn't care about relationships that we have with these players, like building anything really like that's, going to last a few years, not really seeing kind of growth from players. It's about just winning and the best team that we can have on the floor to win a championship. So if that does mean that Grayson Allen's gone, then he's gone. And Lazy Sasquatch just say Lazir Little plus Eric Gordon. So the thing is, like, before this season, we were excited about Eric Gordon, right? We're like, crunch time minutes, we can play Gordon. Now I don't know. I don't know if that's really a thing. I know he can hit big shots and he's had some big games and stuff, but I don't see him as a crunch time minutes guy. Do you? I mean, I don't see that anymore.
Not recently. I mean, obviously he's been coming off of injuries and hasn't played well in any way, shape, or form. Tonight, Eric Gordon 1 of 4 from the field. What was he, like 1 of 9 from the field against the Lakers? He only had 3 points tonight. So I think that he's a player who's coming back from injury. But I think that Eric Gordon has value. And again, I feel like with Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon, obviously Grayson Allen's a little bit more athletic, but both are, it's kind of they're kind of doppelgangers. They're kind of the Spider-Man
I take
meme.
Allen, though.
I would
Right.
too.
Yeah.
But but that's a factor. Again, if you're thinking about moving on from Grayson Allen, it's like, well, I do have like an older, little bit slower, less athletic, but still can shoot the shit out of the ball, and I trust him in the final 5 minutes of a game player in Eric Gordon, who could slot into his space, and look what I'm getting in return. And again, the question is, what do you get in return? Is this what you do to get a TJ McConnell to add some semblance of playmaking and distribution that you feel that this team needs? Or do the Phoenix Suns truly believe that an athletic wing is what they need? So they're reaching out to teams like the Grizzlies, who, did you see they just lost Desmond Bane for 6 weeks? Like, that fucking team is so in shambles.
Marcus Smart too. Like, is he out for a while? Like, he's been out, but he's probably gone for weeks.
And he's a guy who you'd like to target, right?
Yeah, you would want. I mean, I wanted him early in the season too. But if this big three, they can figure it out to where they just look so unstoppable, where they do have guys like Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon who can come in and fill those minutes to extend leads and keep leads, I think we're fine. That's why it's just like, we have to see how this team kind of plays out within the next few weeks and see if they can stay healthy and see if they can put together really good minutes. And Bol, I think, is really a big piece. I know it's only been 2 or 3 games, but I was upset seeing him out tonight. I wanted to see what he would look like against the Blazers, and if we would even have these conversations about being upset, because in those games he played, like, we never really talked about like, oh, the Suns having trouble like closing teams out and stuff. I just felt like he was kind of that guy we needed to come in and play really great minutes to extend leads and keep leads. And he was a hustle guy. He was kind of the weird wing and long, just doing whatever he wanted out there. So I want to see him healthy and see how long he can last in that lineup, and if he can actually stay 20, 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the bench tonight, and they scored a combined 15 points, and that's kind of what Bol's been giving you off the bench single-handedly, is anywhere between 10 and 15 points. And that's what I've appreciated about Bol is when he comes in and gives you minutes, he's giving you some scoring. And I think
Yeah.
that's unbelievably valuable. And yeah, Saltiest Gaming says it in the chat. He says Bol is having feet problems. That's unfortunate, especially when it comes to big men like him.
I know.
And that's why he was a late scratch today, because that he experienced, obviously twisted his ankle against the Miami Heat and was out for a couple games, came back. We liked what we saw. A lot of soreness after practice on Saturday, didn't play today on Sunday. So, again, circling back to the Grayson Allen conversation, the Suns are on the clock. They've got, I think it's 25 days until the trade deadline. 24 if you're listening to this while you're out running errands, you're stopping by UPS because you have to return some Christmas gifts that you never really wanted, and it's taken you nearly 3 weeks to do so, and you're just now listening to the podcast. It's 24 days until the trade deadline, and it's definitely something the Suns are going to have to field phone calls about. There's going to be teams most likely in the Eastern Conference. Like a great example is like the Orlando Magic, right? The Orlando Magic are a good team in the Eastern Conference, and they have the second worst three-point shooting in the entire league. Grayson Allen would be a godsend for them. The question becomes, well, what could the Suns potentially get in return? They could do a deal where, if you think a backup big is what we need, it's like Grayson Allen and Sear Little for Wendell Carter Jr. And I don't know if that's that's a trade I would not do. I like what we have with Nurkic, Eubanks, Azubuike, Marco Fultz, maybe. I don't know, but he's always injured. So it's just there's no right answer. I just think that it's something that the Suns are definitely going to have to explore, because it's one of the very, very few outs that they have. Is Grayson Allen at the peak of his powers professionally, and is a desirable asset that other teams might actually want. And if you think that the Suns need to bolster their lineup and actually get something quality in return, take something to get something, and that something might be, a guy who's shooting 50% practically from beyond the arc this season. And that's tough to deal with and think about.
Hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Nurkic definition make them boys go crazy.
Oh. Nurkic going against his former team, only 5 of 8 from the field, but he had 14 points. He had 13 rebounds. He had 3 steals. He had a block. He even had an assist. Loved what I saw from Nurkic. And it's one of those things that continually I'm impressed with his consistency and how he's playing with this team.
Yeah, it's kind of nice where offensively you don't notice him really scoring as much. But when he's down there, man, even last game against Anthony Davis, we didn't even talk about him. I don't think he was definitely letting Anthony Davis feel him up and down, dude, down there in the paint. Like, he was just moving those guys around. So
yes,
the thing is like him trying to finish around the rim, it's still there, but the constant, just hand swatting, trying to grab the ball, and he ends up with it most of the time around like 3 defenders. Like, that's pretty sick to see. I think what Nurk can bring to this team, obviously, is a big physical body, but I want to see him more like run the point a little bit up top. Go back to that a little bit. But don't you think like they kind of faded away from that with him and KD? Like, he's not doing it as much. But
he did that at the beginning of the season. I thought that was
now
really
it's not too
smart.
Much. Well, now that Beal's back. Now that Beal's back, they got to work something in with him. So
yeah, but top of the key, Nurk is, because of his passing ability and his basketball IQ and the quickness that players like both Beal and Booker possess, coming off of back screens and things of that nature. Those would be some nice offensive sets to see once again. You're right.
Yeah. But I mean, it's great. It's weird to look at this team right now, because it's like, it's like win now mode. So it's like we're always constantly like looking at these guys in 2-game or 3-game stretches. It's just like, well, who could we replace? What do we need? It's like, why can't they just fucking win the championship with this team? It should be good enough.
Well, that's the challenge, though. Again, when we talk about, even with the rumors of the Suns wanting an athletic wing, right? Like, that's what they're looking for in the trade market. It's like, don't we have a roster full of veteran minimum guys who are technically athletic wings, like Yuta Watanabe and Keita Bates-Diop and Josh Okogie and like all those guys? It's like, if these guys just did their fucking job, they wouldn't have that problem. Like,
exactly.
Keita Bates-Diop, he'll have 2 or 3 plays where I'm like, okay,
Yeah, tonight 2-3 plays.
Yeah, but he's a poor rebounder. Like that's what I was noticing tonight. Like
Yeah.
the Suns would give up offensive rebounds with Nurkic out there, and it's not because of Nurk. Nurk's doing everything he can to keep everyone else off the glass. He'll go up, he'll negate a possession, and this is a lot of the same challenges that DeAndre Ayton had when he was with the team. Is from a defensive standpoint, he would provide shot deterrence, and while he's doing that, there's no one backing him up on the weak side because Bates-Diop is too busy like watching Nurkic go for a block, and he doesn't block out his guy, and the next thing you know, it's like an easy putback. It's like, I guess that's why they're veteran minimum players. But I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
frustrating.
It is almost as frustrating as the subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
When you look at the roster for the Portland Trailblazers, you had to ask, where are they? So many motherfuckers not playing tonight. Let's see. Who all didn't play tonight for them?
Jeremy Grant. DeAndre Ayton, I forgot he's on the team.
DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Matisse Thybulle. Where are they? So here's what some of the people on the subreddit were saying up there in Portland. They were keeping Portland weird. You go, damn, that is an empty arena. And somebody said, road trip was so long, I forgot the key has a new paint scheme. Get ready for that, Suns fans. Like, we're going to forget things. The Suns are going to be on a long road trip. They're going to come back. Like, oh, yeah, I forgot that they had that gradient on the side. It's been so long. It must be humiliating to be losing to the 2024 Trailblazers. OMG. That was obviously during the first quarter.
Yeah.
Metu always plays like an all-star against us. 17 minutes for Metu tonight. 3-3 from the field. 3 rebounds. 8 points.
Left-handed little layup there.
Yeah, he was good on
nice.
he was good on both sides of the ball. He really was.
Yeah.
They gave him credit for 2 blocks. I was about to say he had 2 blocks, so they better give him credit for that. I was happy to see that. Kevin Durant. Good Lord. That was after the dunk, the transition dunk. That was nasty. All over Tumani Kamara. That was fantastic. I love you so much, KD. Suns announcers talking about Blazers passing on Jordan and Durant. Wow. Never heard that before.
I love that. I love you so much, Katie. You have to throw it in there. Anytime you talk about Katie, I love him. I love Katie. He's good.
I always have to say it because all the Katie people get so mad.
I love you so much.
You
still Katie. I love you so much.
Kevin Durant was 8 of 12 from the field tonight. Why do you have to bring up the fact that he missed 4 shots? Like, Jesus Christ, get bent. Nurk, you dirty floater boy.
He was a dirty floater.
He was a dirty floater boy.
Yeah,
It's hysterical.
nice floaters.
That's a good one. Stop fouling Ted Cruz. I don't want to look at that face any more than I have to.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Nothing will ever top the Batman voice subreddit. It's so good.
Oh shit! I forgot my microphone. Oh well, thank you.
Good. It's so good.
It hurts my throat so much.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Cross-eyed or wall-eyed? I don't know. One of the two.
Wall-eyed? What?
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder, subscribe, rate, review, thumbs up. If you love KD, give us a thumbs up. That's the only way that we'll know that you love KD. I'm giving it to Booker tonight, obviously. I thought it was a great Booker performance. Sorry, KD fans, if I'm giving this one to Booker. I apologize for that. I love KD. I think he's a great player. He's probably got the most jam stars that I've given out this entire season. But I am giving this one to the guy who went for a total of 34 points and 7 assists and 6 rebounds. And for that, I'm sorry. I from the bottom of my heart, I apologize.
Yeah, I'll give it to Book. He is the according to Frank Vogel, he's the greatest player in the league right now. So I'm gonna go Book.
Tell me that Frank Vogel sucks without telling me that Frank Vogel sucks. Like, Book's great, but he's not the best player in the. Come on,
Yeah, I
man.
think that's just something a coach says, though.
I guess
You know what I mean?
we always know that Frank Vogel is just absolutely full of it. Next up, Sacramento Kings, Brightside night.
Oh.
We will be there, not covering the game for Brightside. We'll actually be attending that game as fans. I will be conducting the Q&A with our surprise guests prior to the game. So tune into our podcast after that to find out who it was. Thoughts on this game, Matthew?
This is a real test. I think, the Kings are one guy away. I think the whole thing with Pascal Siakam, that's like an actual thing that might happen where they need that guy. No, as much as they love this team in Sacramento, you got to kind of listen to the outside sources where we're just like, you guys are one piece away, but you need that one piece, and it might be like a Siakam in there. Big test for Suns. It's a big name going back home. Don't let Fox score 40 points. Please, God, please. Just make it a close game. If the Suns lose, I predict like a close win. I would be okay with it, but just make it competitive right now.
Just survive the fourth quarter. This is a good team. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers, I might not watch every one of their games, but I definitely know who and what they are. Again, a team that lost tonight on a three-pointer by Damian Lillard, but a team that, comes in ninth most points per game in the league, a little bit less on the defensive side. They have a net rating of +5 or 0.5, so they're 17th in the league. But obviously that high pick and roll that they run with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis is deadly, especially when we talk about fourth quarters and crunch time. De'Aaron Fox being one of the best crunch time players last season. He's averaging 27 points and 5.8 assists this year. Keegan Murray is really starting to step it up for him in his second season. 16.1 points as a starter this year. They're a deep team that has a lot of shooting. They attempt the third most 3-pointers in the league. They make the 14th most relative to percentage at 36.8. But this is a team that fireballs from three. What do the Suns have a challenge with? Well, they have a challenge with teams that shoot the three ball. Think about this. The Portland Trailblazers tonight, right? They ended up shooting 47.6% from beyond the arc. Of their 7 top 3-point shooting performances this season, 3 have come against the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
The Suns' perimeter defense, not great.
That's a thing.
Not great at all.
There's always an open shooter. Like I'm scared to look. Every time the ball moves, I'm like, I don't want to look. Why are there 3 guys on one side? What's going on? Just really quick, Maya, I do love you. I don't know who you are, whatever, but I love the comments. They make me laugh every game. I just fucking love it, dude. I'm not even gonna read it, but it's just so good.
It's a fan podcast. I don't know what you expect from us. Like, we're not national pundits. We're a couple guys. Like, I'm sitting in my house with no socks on. My feet are cold. Like, I'm not Stephen A. Smith or whatever. You get what you get.
Maybe one day, though. Then he'll, if he can sit around and we can sit around and watch sports all day, then it'd be a different story. But
it would be. But I don't. Like, I had shit to do today. I had to watch those Cowboys get fucking destroyed.
Yes.
So did you watch any of that game?
No. So I had it on my phone. I was streaming it illegally just from my phone. I'm like, I don't even want to turn on the TV. I'm like, I'm just gonna put it on my phone because I know how these Cowboys games are in the playoffs. I just know. And it started out the same exact way, man. First drive, gave up 7 points, and you know how they did it is because the defense was offsides. They have these great specimens out there, great, talented, all defensive players, but they are so fucking dumb in big games. They're always offsides. They always get called for these stupid penalties that cost them the game. Like the Cowboys are the one team where the first drive means everything, right? They're 10-0. They showed if they're up 7-0, they score first. If they don't score first, they're 2-5. They just cannot back. Dak's not that quarterback. And then you can say it's coaching or whatever, but once Dak's that way, and I think the defense knows, no one's gonna fucking try. So I don't know. I'm just done. I didn't watch it. I watched a little bit of the first and then I stopped. I'm like, I already know. I know how it's gonna go. So I'm done.
I was getting frustrated for you. I'm not even a Cowboys fan. It was like every time the Cowboys had the Packers in like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, and just they're making Jordan Love look like Aaron Rodgers out there, just flicking the wrist. Guys,
Wide open.
All the guys would do for the Packers. All these guys who you don't know who they are unless you play fantasy football. They're just running 10-yard crossers and just throwing dimes to them. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm glad the Lions won, though.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. The only thing I can think of, because Cowboys, like Jerry Jones puts together really good rosters, and there's no reason the Cowboys shouldn't be in the NFC championship once in a while with these teams. They have good teams. Their coaches are fine. Their coaches should be able to coach them to an NFC championship. The only thing I think of is the Cowboys make so much money or whatever, where this whole thing might be fixed in a way where, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys make enough money. Cowboys are the Cowboys, so other teams need to get to the championship. They need to win the Super Bowl. That way, it just kind of it goes around, right? All the funds and stuff. I don't know. Something weird there, man. I don't know.
Well,
doesn't make sense how it continues to happen every year.
I'm glad you didn't drive all the way out here just to watch the game, because you've been driving home at the middle of the second quarter.
Been done, yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. Last thing I want to mention before we get out of here, Aussie Suns fan said it earlier. He's like, I feel like we should point out that Voida won the Suns Jam head-to-head in the Suns Potter Fantasy League. Yes.
Yeah, you told me not to set my lineup or lock it in, so I listened to you.
Yeah, clearly. You want to trade some of your guys? Like, I'll take some of your guys off your hands. No one's listening. Let's just collude right here. Let's do some trades. You're obviously not playing. I'm playing. Scoot Henderson got me 37 points tonight. Way to go, Scoot.
Nice. I love Scoot. See? Love Scoot, man.
Yeah, he's on my team. So let me pick up a couple guys off your team. Let's make it clear collusion. Just see what happens to the fantasy league. Am I right? To where it's like, let's see. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Who's on your team? You probably don't even know. You got Jimmy Butler. Oh, you got Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, Wiggins, Grant, and Embiid. So what I'll do is I'll trade you like John Collins for Embiid and like a draft pick, and just see if everyone in the fucking fantasy league loses their mind. We totally should.
I wasn't even listening.
It's okay. I'll just expect some trade offers. You'll see them in 10 weeks, because that's the last time that's how often you check it. But on that note, Jamsters, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Even you, Maya B. I know that you just said that our only talent is the ability to throw a frisbee into an open field. Sure, you're right. Whatever.
I do like doing that.
I love doing that, and then I have to walk over there and get it myself.
Good, yeah.
It's fun. It's calisthenics. It's how I stay active at 64 degrees here in Phoenix. But make sure you subscribe, rate, review. We'll see you live after the Kings game. Hopefully a victory on Brightside Night, coming to you live from downtown Phoenix. Until then, Matthew, tell everyone what they can do.
Okay. Go love your family. Go love your family. Go love your family.